Hey practitioners, in this video I'm going to teach you how to think like Dr. House. This script was written by SHERRINFORD Holmes, so check him out in the end screen or the description below. Dr. House is an incredibly intelligent medical diagnostician. He knows almost all of the diseases in modern science. The vast and extensive knowledge base makes him incredibly skilled at what he does. He's able to diagnose patients accurately using knowledge. House is constantly trying to learn new things, as he often reads books and studies to help him become better at what he does. In addition to being an extraordinary doctor, House speaks fluent Mandarin, is an expert at playing the guitar and piano, and is skilled at getting into the minds of his patients and coworkers. You can do the same, as improving your knowledge base will tremendously strengthen the accuracy, speed, and reliability of your conclusions regardless of your chosen subject. Alright, now as an example, say you work with computers. You have an extensive knowledge of how they work. If one happens to become faulty or break down, being more knowledgeable can allow you to figure a way around the problem far greater than anyone without knowledge of computers whatsoever. So improving your knowledge base is key to mastering your subject area. Whether that be a broad skill or not, the knowledge will enable you to think more like Dr. House. Also, reasoning backwards. Dr. House is not like the average person, as he has the skill of reasoning backwards. He uses a very nuanced logic to diagnose diseases as fast as possible. Reasoning backwards is a very useful skill to master, because unlike normal reasoning, where you have evidence and then you make a conclusion based on it, reasoning backwards is when you have the end result and you must figure out what caused it. Dr. House observes the disease's symptoms and uses deductive reasoning and working backwards to figure out the cause. This is the difference between him and the average person, as he is able to use this efficient and effective skill. Here's an example of reasoning in progress. Imagine you have 100 small marbles in a bag, and you have two bags. The marbles are all identical except for one. One is a different color than the rest, and you have to place that marble in a separate bag on its own. You cannot see the marbles, but you have someone with you to tell you if it's in the bag. Now, what would be the fastest way to find the marble? The reasoning forward approach would be to take one out at a time and place it in the bag until you eventually end up with the odd marble. However, the reasoning backward approach would be to divide the 100 marbles into two piles and place them in each bag. You can then check if it's in the bag, and if the person says it's not in the bag, then you throw out all those marbles and you separate the remaining bag into 25s. Repeat until you have 2 or 3 marbles left. If you follow this approach, you will get the odd marble within 7 tries, opposed to the 100 tries if you follow the reasoning forward approach. This is the exact same type of reasoning Dr. House uses, and is how he is so much better at diagnosing people, as he does it in a structured and organized way that is uncommon to most people. You can learn the reasoning backward approach and become a better problem solver just like Dr. House. To understand this concept more, I recommend reading the book Reasoning Backwards by Greg Young. There are also some good videos on this on SHERRINFORD's channel. Keeping an open mind. Keeping an open mind is essential to Dr. House's work, as he must always be open to the ideas that he may have misdiagnosed. He looks over his diagnosis to find any possible flaws with it, and he does not ignore any issues with his theories purely because he thinks he is correct. Basically, he tries to get rid of all cognitive biases and logical fallacies as possible. In order to think like him, you must learn to keep your mind open to the possibility that you may be wrong. Do not eliminate possible conclusions because you think you already found the right answer. When scientists make a theory, they will always try to find problems with it, and you should do the same. Always remain open to the idea that you are wrong, and this will reduce the chance of you missing the correct conclusion, or in Dr. House's case, misdiagnose. Do not jump to conclusions, and always make sure your line of reasoning does not ignore any contradictory evidence. Speak your mind. One thing that I love about Dr. House is his nuanced personality. He is so random and spontaneous, and he's always the center of attention when he's in a room. He's very comfortable on his feet, and he is not afraid to challenge anyone. He makes his points clear, and that's what you should do. You should be able to speak your mind and reasoning. Confidence is key and will play a major part in you being a better reasoner. However, do not be as patronizing as Dr. House is, as that has resulted in him being punched in the face on several occasions. Your confidence in your abilities is key to being like Dr. House. In life, you need to be vocal in order to be heard and listened to by others. You do not want what you say to fall on deaf ears, especially if it is something important. There was once a case where Dr. House was testing a group of applicants to see who was qualified to be on his diagnostic team. He found cases for the applicants to do so. One case in particular involved all of the applicants trying and failing to diagnose a particular patient. Dr. House had a very good theory as to what it was, but he didn't speak up because he was determined to test his potential employees. However, none of House's applicants were able to properly diagnose the patient, and he ended up dying despite House's knowing what was wrong with him. So because House did not speak up when they needed it the most, it ended up costing somebody their life. Learn from your mistake. The one thing you must do to be a good reasoner such as Dr. House is to learn from your mistakes. We all make mistakes, but the biggest mistake of them all is not learning from them. You only improve from trial and error, and it takes lots of experience to be able to have Dr. House's level of skill. If you make observations about someone and you discover you are wrong in your conclusion, do not ignore it. Find out why you are wrong, write down the reason, and learn to improve. Use every failure as an opportunity to better yourself. I do not fear making mistakes. The only thing I fear is not learning from them. If one makes a mistake but does not correct themselves so that they don't make the same mistake again in the future, they will always fail. A mistake does not have to be a hindrance, but a chance to learn. In addition to being able to prevent the same mistake from happening, similar errors would have prevented the future because you would have already learned from them from a previous failure. For instance, Dr. House had a case in which the symptoms of his patients matched the symptoms of the patients he had failed to cure many years ago. Instead of making the same mistake again, he immediately claimed that the disease was the same, and fought to prove that it was before it was too late. In the end, Dr. House was able to cure the patient because he learned from the previous failures and built upon them. I want to end this video by saying a huge shout out to SHERRINFORD HOLMES for coming up with most of the information for this script, and a quote by John Dewey. Failure is instructive. The person who really thinks learns quite as much from his failures as his successes. I hope you guys enjoyed the video and learned something from it, and if you did, leave a like below. Thanks for watching and subscribe for more.